Hi there, this is Beth Hilton, and today I have with me the founders of Soundings of the Planet, Dean and Dudley Evenson. Welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to be here with you, Beth.
Great to be here. I was just reading all about your company and seeing that you founded it in 1979, but I know that you go back together as a couple and you have quite a love story. That's wonderful, and we want to touch on that. But you've been embracing peace and music and travel and nature your entire lives. So can you take us back to the beginning of where you met and how you came to found Soundings of the Planet?
I went to graduate school and then went to New York City to become a recording engineer. And I moved across the hall from Dudley.
How perfect.
We got to be good friends.
Well, I had just gotten back from living in Japan and studying, getting into photography. So I was, kind of working on that in New York. And Dean had gotten his master's degree in molecular biology. And one day I was going across the hall because the apartment was empty. And I went up to knock on I wasn't knocking. I was just going to go in there and do some yoga and stretching. And this guy opened the door. I was a little embarrassed that I had tried to break into his apartment, but I just apologized and said, "Oh, well, come over and have a cup of tea." And so there was Dean. He just had brimming with all kinds of ideas. He wanted to be a recording engineer, a filmmaker. I don't know. He had some sculpture, paintings, and all sorts of things he was involved with. So we just became friends for a while. And that was a good way to begin, actually.
Yeah, it was a very mellow way. We got to know each other at a reasonable pace.
Well, I had a boyfriend at the time, and I had this realization, and this might be relevant to people who are looking to find, the perfect person. I had this realization that a lot of times people mistake conflict in a relationship for excitement. And I noticed that in that particular relationship I'd been in, and I thought, this is not the kind of excitement I'm interested in. And I really, I came to this sort of realization that I was ready to find, the perfect person for me at the time, and I just thought, well, I know who I am. I'm really coming to understand my own self. And I think that's probably the best thing that anybody can do if they're looking for a partner, is to really address who they are, who they are as an individual. What are their passions? What are their ideals, their values, their principles? And then when I met Dean, there was just such a natural resonance with him because we had, similar values and similar dreams for life.
It was like talking with ourselves.
I think it's a great example for younger people out there to get to know yourself first and your values, and then with any luck, find someone that resonates with all of that.
Well, it was an interesting time too, because it was 1968, and of course we were coming toward the end of the 60s, which had been a powerful time of protests, and we knew what we were against. We knew we didn't want the war, we didn't want discrimination, and that sort of thing. So we were at that point ready to try to address what is it that we want to create, what kind of world do we want to create, because we knew that we were for peace. But we didn't really know what that looked like. And we were so caught up in the mainstream society,
there was just interest in environment was increasing at that time also.
Right. Well, that's something I'd really love to talk about, because your new album, of course, is Monet's Gardens, and you've traveled there. And it kind of reflects your own gardens where you are. Tell us about your history of following the environmental awareness and contributing to it through your music.
Well, first of all, as Dean mentioned, he became a recording engineer in New York, and I was studying photography or getting into photography. So we had our kind of media, and we began to want to make films. So we were out in the hunt for a 60 millimeter film camera. And on one of those days when Dean was working what I called his 27-hour work days, because it was just round the clock, they really kept him going. I came into a shop and the guy showed me this Sony video porta-pack, and he said, we're going to have this in and you can buy it if you want. It's just
portable video,
brand new.
And the deck weighed 35 pounds and the camera weighed 8 pounds.
And it was connected by a long cable. And I took home all the material. And of course, Dean and I looked it over and we thought, well, why don't we get this, and we did. And it was a life-changing experience. For us, getting into the video was a big, big deal.
So I understand that the portability of this new technology enabled you to travel with your entire family. I think you have probably uncountable hours of incredible interviews with spiritual leaders and thought leaders and environmentalists around the country. Can you tell us about some of them?
Well, we ended up we decided we wanted to live in we wanted to go on the road. And so we bought a half-size school bus, renovated, and had a little bed in the back. And we didn't have any children at the time. So we started, well, actually, when we finally got the bus, we had, our daughter was 1 year old. And then I got pregnant as well. So we ended up having the baby in the bus and traveled around. And we were just searching for the new consciousness.
Yeah, we were curious what was happening because there was a lot of changes going on. And there was some opening up of our culture to other cultures around the world, which allowed us to have a very different perspective on things.
Well, we've just been getting into yoga, and we learned about meditation, and healing was a brand new thing. Massage. I remember the first time I saw a person giving a massage at a party, and it was like, wow, that feels like laying on of hands. And it really felt like there were a lot of things coming to our consciousness that were different, but they were ancient. And so Dean and I had that kind of curiosity that led us take our video camera and just go interview a guru or some healer or an environmentalist, or we went to the UN conference. That was really
UN conference on the human environment, which was held in Stockholm, Sweden. And all the countries around the world, quite a few of them anyway, came to the conference to talk about what could be done about the destruction that was happening to the earth.
But what was interesting is Stuart Brand he was the founder of the Whole Earth Catalog, and he had sent over 15 Native Americans. And those were the people that we were really paying attention to. Because, we were just blown away by their concept of Mother Earth and how we really needed to respect the planet, that this is the source of our physical as well as a spiritual, where we come from. And it's a living being. And this really lit us up. We were on fire to try to communicate these ideas.
That's fascinating. What would be your advice as to how to, really show your interest in another culture in a respectful way? How did you approach that at that time?
I think it's important to remember that when Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda, came to this country in the early, it was like 1920s, in that period of time, he was told by his guru to come to America to teach people about yoga. I think cultural appropriation has become a bit misunderstood these days, and it's really important to go back to the sources of how we really connect with each other. The yoga and meditation that was brought over by the Indian gurus and teachers and wisdom keepers was given to people for a reason. They felt like the world needed to have this kind of information. And so, we live in one world. The world is getting smaller. We wear each other's clothes. We listen to each other's music. I think it's really important to respect one another and not take advantage of another person's culture. But I also think by learning more about each other, we can come closer together, because there's a lot of culture or a lot of conflict in our world that's, I believe, based on misunderstandings of culture. So I think the more we can communicate, the more we can get to know each other,
Listening.
and listen,
Listen.
definitely.
Be a
Yeah.
witness.
Yeah.
Listen to the wisdom that comes through.
Absolutely. More listening. Absolutely. So in this wonderful journey, you've produced over 60 plus, albums and DVDs. And I know that you're going to have a new channel that is going to share some of those videos, and that's going to be exciting to see.
We have 2 channels at the moment, and we'll be introducing a 3rd channel soon. Our 2 main channels, the first one, of course, is Soundings of the Planet on YouTube, and that is our music video channel. And so Dean spent years and years videoing nature, and whether it's by the ocean or in our gardens or by the river or in the mountains, he is out there videoing nature, which turns out to be similar to what Monet did in his life. But the other thing is, over the years, because we started doing this video in 1970, we have hundreds and hundreds of hours of half-inch black and white videos, reel-to-reel format, this very original format, and then we kept graduating. We've probably gone through a dozen different formats of video. So that channel is called Soundings Mindful Media. And it's really, you're going to see videos of Hopi Prophecy and Ram Dass, and we just released one called Friendly Farming, which was an old, up in Sweden when we videotaped the farmer teaching about how to grow food organically without, pesticides or anything. And we just, we visited the Stephen Gaskin farm. We videoed me having a baby, but that's not on our channel. But just some of our bus living, we have a whole section of 40 years of our piece through music. So we do have over, 80, 90 albums and DVDs and videos that we've made, that we've actually produced, but that doesn't count the hundreds of hours of video that we also have now. And then we'll be doing a new channel soon called Dean and Dudley Living Dreams. And it's really going to be more of a lifestyle of our home and life and just the values. And
I really look forward to that, especially, both actually, the lifestyle and seeing more and more of those black and white videos. I think
it's very authentic.
Yes, I think that'll be fantastic. But your lifestyle, yes, I've caught a little glimpse of your beautiful home and gardens right by a river. So many parallels to Monet's life. So I guess I'd love to hear from you now. Let's circle back to that new album, Monet's Garden. Tell me what it means to you, Dean, to have finished this project and shared it with the world.
Well, I've always been inspired by Monet. When I first saw him in my later years in my high school and then college. And to be able to go to the place where he worked and created all his paintings, or most of them, was a real honor and a real magical experience. We spent 5 days just videoing the flowers and the water and the birds, and just he created a garden that has lived on beyond his years.
When I know that you were, taking pictures and video and doing a little field recording in the gardens over in France, were you, Dean, were you already hearing the music in your head at that time as you were looking around?
I hear music in my head all the time.
Of course you do.
So that wasn't an issue.
But then you came home and, not too long after that, you got into the recording studio too. What was that process like?
It's been a really fun process creating this album. And then as it turned out, just with putting the music together with all the videos that Dean made and some of the photographs that I took over there, in France. It was just a lot of fun to see how nicely it all went together.
They also had a lot of nice bird songs over there, different species than we have here. So it was real pleasant to be inspired by that.
Yeah, that is really nice to hear that, because it's kind of ambient. You don't really realize how much of a difference it makes wherever you go to really tune in and listen to those native birds.
Yeah, it's got some excellent recordings of the birds on there.
Yeah, it's a very generous album too. It's a great length.
The birds were very cooperative.
So we have a couple of other current projects, not to ignore those. There's this beautiful CD that you created with the Mishras, Yoga Mantra, and that's been getting a little bit of attention lately.
But in terms of working with Deobrat Mishra, that was a really fun project. We've known Deobrat Mishra for over 20 years. He's been coming to Bellingham and performing on the West Coast and around the country, really, in Canada as well. So it was fun, him coming over and recording right here on our
right here on our doorstep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great fun working with them.
He's a real sweetheart. And then his nephew is a tabla player, and they're both, I feel like Deobrat is kind of a cross between Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan and Ravi Shankar. And then his nephew is Ali Akbar Khan, or, he's this amazing tabla player. So it's just a beautiful, the way they work together doing traditional ragas, the Gayatri Mantra and some other ragas. And then, of course, Dean playing the flute with them. So that was pretty special. A real treasure. And that won the Cover Visionary Award for World Fusion, the gold for World Fusion at the Visionary Awards.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And, someone who sings in the beautiful way that he does and was trained to sing all his life while playing sitar is really unique and needs to be experienced, I think.
Recognizing and also elevating people like Deobrat Mishra and his nephew, Prashant Mishra, is important.
All of that's also on your website at soundings.com. You have a lot of information there. It's a really rich site and really wonderful to listen to. Well, I guess the other thing I'd like to just thank you for is sending me your wonderful book, Dudley, A Year of Guided Meditations. I've been really enjoying it every day because it's just so easy to take in. The way you write, it's so clear and simple. And, it's something I keep next to my bed, and I can literally, I'm not so good about sitting up and doing the whole, setup in front of my altar or anything. I just kind of roll over and, take it in, and then
it works.
It's 52 affirmations, but it's really designed so you could just open it anytime and just, maybe it's like drawing a soul card. You open it, says maybe this is the affirmation that's the perfect one for you on that day, maybe something you're working through. These are the principles that Dean and I have lived by for over 50 years now. And we learned that there are universal principles that operate across all cultures and all religions, that really it's kind of like in physics, you have physical principles and those are immutable. Here, however, on the spiritual level, there are principles as well. And the most basic of all, of course, is like what Jesus taught. Love your enemy or love your neighbor as yourself, that kind of thing. So what you give, you receive, when you plant a seed, it will grow. I mean, these are just simple, basic principles. And so what I did with the book is try to just put them in a gentle way where there's a short affirmation, a bit of long and a longer one. And then there's a paragraph and kind of
Yeah.
describing, well, why do we need this? Or why do we care about, learning how to go with the flow or create your own reality or something like that?
Yes, and the illustrations are beautiful too.
Thanks. Those are just my
I
photographs.
was
So,
gonna say, are they all your own photographs?
yeah,
Incredible.
so that was the thing I got when I lived in Japan. But it's a process. Life is a process, and when you stay with your vision and stay with your dreams, I think that's the most important thing for people to realize is that you want to stay with your ideals and your values, and realize that you're here with your special gifts and talents to give and offer to the society, to the planet. How can you help? How can we use our media, our music, our art, or whatever it is that we have as a service? And so when we can do that, then things will fall into place. And it
And
does,
we'll feel better too.
yeah. But it doesn't mean you just sit around and wait for it to happen. No, we are busy people. We're very diligent. Dean worked so hard all his life, as did I, and everybody who's involved with us. So keep going, don't give up, and then trust. Trust that it will work out. If you stay with your values and your principles, there's a good chance that it's all going to come around in its good time. So,
Well, your slogan for the company is peace through music.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to ask you, what is New Age music? Is all of your music New Age or some of it world, I would think as well. But what is New Age music?
well, you mentioned peace through music. That it has been our motto for 40 years. And of course, that comes out of the peace movement because we knew we were against war and all conflict and that sort of thing. But also, what we discovered when we started creating our music was that it was about peace and inner peace as well, because we talk about conflict and cultural conflict, but we also need to find peace within ourselves. So when we started this kind of music, people said, well, they'd never heard anything like
What is this stuff?
it. We didn't know if it was classical or jazz
You're going to have to create your own marketplace for this stuff.
or create a whole new genre. And eventually they did begin to put it into a bin in the record stores, and it was called New Age because at the time it was a new age. Things were coming forth in our culture that were new. Now they were maybe very ancient concepts, but they were definitely new in terms of spiritual. So the music that originally was in the category of New Age music definitely had to do with more meditation, and it was used for yoga, and it was used in the healing arts and used for massage. So it was definitely had a high intention um, of being a benefit to people in their everyday lives. And as time has continued, different kinds of music has come about, obviously, through the yoga community, kirtan and mantra and that sort of thing has joined in. And then, New Age music is a genre that will continue to grow and benefit people. I think it's important that it has it's a big tent because it's probably one of the most important things, though, is the intention of the music is for personal and global wellness. And so that's where, in our minds, the sense of peace comes through.
That's the way you connect with peace, is with your inner being. And you learn that from meditation. And it creates an environment that allows the person to be just who they are in the moment.
That's beautifully said. New Age music can be defined in some ways by the intention.
Well, the intention comes through when you're playing the music. And especially if you work with other musicians, it gives you a very large perspective.
Dean talks about music being a carrier wave for intention. So when you think about music is carrying the music that you're hearing that's hitting your ears is carrying the intention of the musician or the artist that have created it. There's also the intention of the person listening. You know, how are they receiving it? So I think one of the things I appreciate listening to Dean's music and the many collaborations he's done with so many wonderful artists is that it's very unique. Each piece is very unique and interesting. So you're going to hear him playing with Li Shangting, who's a Chinese guqin player. He's a living treasure in China. He does a chant with the Dalai Lama, Dalai Lama singing the Green Tara mantra, or he's playing with Tom Barabbas, a fabulous pianist, or Scott Huckabee, who does
or
the most
Russian musicians that we went to Russia on a peace mission and played with different Russian musicians.
Yeah, our goal was to be citizen diplomats and really just kind of artist ambassadors. So we went there in the late 80s to the Soviet Union. You know, Phil Heaven is our engineer who happens to play fabulous viola. So we're really lucky to be surrounded by wonderful musicians. It was fun. A few years ago, we celebrated our 40th anniversary of Soundings of the Planet and invited a number of our musicians to come and to a wonderful concert and just do some more recordings. So that was so much fun. But these are people that we've known for years.
You've created such awareness, not just of the power of music, but of the environment, of so many cultures, of the dream and the ability for peace as a reality. So I thank you so much for that and all your work over the years.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
It's really fun working with you and your team.
Thank you. You know, I just want everyone to make sure they jump in and visit you at soundings.com.
Yeah, we got lots of new things coming up. And of course, you can find Quieting the Monkey Mind, the book we co-wrote together. That's on Amazon. And also, oh, there you go. And then our new book, A Year of Guided Meditation. So we'll be doing more books. We got a lot of things in the pipeline, and we just want to keep sharing. We're in our mid 70s. Well, goodness, I'm going to be 80 in a couple of years. I can't believe it. But anyway, we're still going strong and we're having a good time.
Yeah, your energy is incredible. That's a benefit of a life well lived. So,
and lots of vegetables.
And lots of vegetables.
Lots of vegetables.
I love it.
And being in nature.
And peaches when they're in season.
Oh, so good.
We like that.
So good.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.